So we wanted to bring in Sheriff Bill Gore today to talk about not just that, but this other executive action by our president as it relates to sanctuary cities. Good morning.
Morning, Lisa. Morning, Carlos.
All right. So before we get to the sanctuary city issue, I want to talk about what happened over the weekend protest-wise. Where does the Sheriff's Department stand with any of that?
Well, the airport is under the jurisdiction of the San Diego Harbor Police, and they were out there providing public safety services. They had contact with the Sheriff's Department and the San Diego Police Department should they need it for additional resources, but as far as I know, everything was very peaceful and calm, and people demonstrated their First Amendment rights.
Now, immigration is something that we've had to deal with in San Diego forever. This is not an uncommon issue for us. So, as a sanctuary city, the sanctuary city people who say that needs to happen, that people need to have a safe place to go, would say that law enforcement should not cooperate with federal authorities in detaining people. Explain how that works in the San Diego Sheriff's Department.
Sure. Well, there's a lot of speculate. They say, well, you know, are you a sanctuary city? Aren't you I ask these people, define a sanctuary city for me. I think there's some cities that have actually passed laws that prohibit their local law enforcement officers from cooperating with ICE. That's not the case in San Diego, although I think I speak for all the chiefs here. I don't want to turn my deputy sheriffs or local officers into immigration officers. We have enough work to do in protecting our communities, and I don't want our local officers to be perceived as immigration officers. If you do that, as you know, we have tens of thousands of undocumented people in our county. If you have your local officers perceived as immigration officers, people are afraid to report crimes, be witnesses to crimes, and you commit a whole subculture of people who are preyed on by the criminal element, and it makes our communities less safe. That's my opinion. It's the opinion really of all professional law enforcement in the country. That doesn't mean we can't cooperate with our federal partners like we do so well here in San Diego. Not only ICE, but DEA and FBI, and you name it. The big I think bone of contention is detaining people in our jails. And as you know, I run all the jails in San Diego County. We're in a unique position because of our border location. We've had ICE, prior to that, immigration officials in our jails for probably 15 to 20 years. Everybody that's arrested, pardon me.
I was going to say, explain to us how it works when somebody is
individual is arrested.
Your jail.
San Diego Police, Sheriff's Deputy, Carlsbad, you name it, arrest somebody and they go to my jail. Everybody that's booked into our jails is screened by Immigration and Customs Enforcement. If they have an interest in that person and they want to
immigration,
if ICE has an interest in them, in the past they would issue a detainer, and that's a big bone of contention here recently. And that detainer would say, we're interested in this person, please hold them 48 hours past their normal release date so we can take custody of them. Well, we have a federal court order out of Oregon, federal court order, that says it's unconstitutional to detain somebody on this administrative piece of paper beyond their normal release date. Now, if you have a court order, a judicial finding signed by a magistrate, an immigration law judge, then we can detain them.
But if not, you have to let them go after their normal
when they've served their time or whatever.
Yeah.
What we do, we have the best of both worlds here in San Diego. What we do is we notify, if ICE has an interest in them, but they don't have enough to get a warrant, we notify them when that person is going to be released from our facility, and they take custody of them in our jail. And that, like I say, ICE is in our...
So it's not like they get back out on the streets.
We don't make them chase them down in the corner when they were released from our jail. And we have immigration officers in all our booking facilities, Vista downtown and our women's facility in Santee. So we think we've worked through the minefield here, if you will, and breaking down those silos that lead to, I think, very inefficient, ineffective law enforcement when we don't all work together. ICE is a part of our task forces when we're looking at gangs and drug cartels, human trafficking cartels. We work with FBI, we work with ICE, but this very sticky issue of in our jails and when we can hold somebody in a detainer, we're governed by state law and federal court orders on exactly what we can do. I've had personal conversations with the head of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, with the state sheriffs here in California, saying, why don't you hire more administrative law judges? Instead of giving this detainer, have an administrative law judge, sign that and make it an order based on some probable cause that this person is in the country illegally. To this point, they've been unwilling to do that. Maybe that will change. But I feel very strongly that we're on the right track. That cooperation between federal, state, and local law enforcement is critical to the public safety of this county. That's why our crime rates are at record lows. And we're the envy of every major city in the country with our crime rates, and yet we border crossing in the world. So we're doing something right, I think.
Well, I think what's at risk here, too, and, you know, when you bring up this issue of sanctuary cities, and in terms of the Trump administration is saying, if you are a sanctuary city, we're going to withhold these federal dollars from you. Have we in San Diego been threatened with that yet?
No.
That you know of?
No, and I just don't see that happening.
And what do those dollars go towards?
Well,
what would it mean if they disappeared?
There's a lot of grant money that comes in here. We have a very, probably one of the best in the country, border crimes task forces working with our federal and local partners that goes from San Diego all the way up there to Monterey County, looking at illegal smuggling, these drug smugglers and human smugglers. That's a federal grant. That shows how that cooperation between federal, state, and local can be so productive and provide good public safety. On the other hand, I can't turn my deputy sheriffs into immigration officers because that makes us less safe. If people in our community that are here illegally, undocumented, are afraid to report crimes, are afraid to be witnesses to crimes, we're all less safe. And I think that's the underlying message that local law enforcement is trying to get out. In our relationship, ICE understands that. They don't expect us to be, stopping people. First, we have no authority to stop somebody on the street. A lot of people don't understand that. If a deputy sheriff comes across somebody that's in the country illegally, it's a misdemeanor. It's an infraction. A local officer can't arrest somebody on a misdemeanor unless it takes place in his presence. If one of my deputies is on the border and watches the person walk into this country, they could arrest him. But once they're in, that's a misdemeanor. They have no authority. And ICE understands that. But that doesn't mean we can't cooperatively work with them on major criminal investigations, looking at criminal activity of illegal and undocumented people in this country doing drugs, gangs, and that type of thing.
And it seems that President Trump's policies are aimed at doing exactly what you just described, keeping people in an environment that clearly has borders and clearly has laws that people need to be enforced. Sheriff Bill Gore, thanks so much for being here with us this morning.
Thanks, Lisa.
Great to have you with us.